This is Report to Wyoming.
This week, I get to talk to the superintendent of Metro Animal Shelter in Casper. His name is Scott Schell, and we discuss feral cats, a problem, if that's what you want to call it, that they've been addressing with euthanasia. However, Schell makes a strong case for TNR, which means trap, neuter, release. He's hoping in the future to adopt this protocol, but as of yet, it has not been approved by the city. He also sheds a lot of light on feral cats in general. We start off by talking about lost pets. Because I've lost a pet before. It's nerve-wracking. Then you go on Facebook and you're posting in groups and somebody knows where it's at.
Yep.
So, yeah. And cats, which is our main subject. I lost a cat and I never got him back. Yeah.
They're an issue in Natrona County with a lot of cats running loose. And we just...
So, sorry to interrupt you. I read somewhere that if a cat's gone for X amount of weeks, there's a good chance they've gone feral. And that you don't get them back. Is there truth to this? What have you found?
I think once they're domesticated, they might get a little bit scared and nervous when they're away from your home for a while. But I don't think they're going to go truly unsocialized because they still have that.
They don't
that
prefer
contact.
The wild freedom. Like there are some hardships that maybe, in your experience, you think that they would prefer to be in a home.
I think with cats, so cats used to not be in the house until like in the 40s when they invented cat litter. Cats used to live outdoors.
Suburbia, yeah.
Yep, all the time. So I have 4 cats. I can leave a door open and they won't even try to go outside. They don't want to be outside. But that's my 4 cats. Other people have had.
It's hard out there for a cat.
Yes, but they are very resilient animals, and they can take care of themselves. I think they just prefer where they can be happy and do what they enjoy to do.
Which is cuddle up in boxes. This is the domestic cat.
Yeah.
Are there parallels, do you think, with wildcats? Do you notice that they do the same thing, kind of those similar weird idiosyncrasies that cats have?
Yeah. They do. We had Best Friends Animal Society come in. They did an evaluation of our shelter to see what we can improve and what we can do better. I'm still learning, and so to have somebody come in to tell me what we can do, and that was one of the things, was providing boxes or feral boxes for all the cats. Mm-hmm. So we've got these feral boxes that we've provide for the cats. It gives them a place to go hide. We've also, if we run out of those, we keep our cardboard boxes that can fit in the kennels. And whether it's feral or domesticated, they love to hide. They love to be in there and hide. Oh. We've got cats that people will come in and go, I didn't know there was a cat in there. And then all of a sudden he comes out of the box and he's just rubbing up on the front of the kennel. And it helps keep them stressed. It gives them a place to hide and feel safe and secure.
So this makes me think about, people told me that there was this feral cat problem a year ago. Yeah. Since then, I've been on the lookout for feral cats. And the only time I've seen what I think is feral cats, like a colony, is over by Grant Street. Otherwise, this brings up 2 points. A, I think maybe they are very good at hiding, and they like to be curled up in a box somewhere. I don't know if it's underground. Where are these colonies? Because I'm not seeing them like I see the wild turkeys.
Yeah. And
then B, where have you guys found the most colonies to be?
So we know that there's cat community colonies around. I don't exactly know where they're at. I just did start reaching out to the lady that runs the community cat program, and she's been working on it, and I'm trying to build a relationship with her because from my understanding, I felt like there was some nervousness about Metro finding out where these colonies were, and then we would go wipe them out, when in fact we appreciate the work they do because they have saved. I talked to the lady that does the community cat. She said they spayed and neutered over 400 cats this last year. And when you look at those numbers, that's probably saved us thousands of cats that have come into that have not come into the animal shelter. We support that. The animal shelter is not the best place for cats. They get too stressed. They're in small kennels. They're not used to being confined in small kennels. They want to be out roaming. They get stressed. the more stress, the easier they are to get sick. The kittens, they don't have that immunity to help fight off any diseases you might get out from a shelter environment. It's just really not the best environment. So I've tried to reach out to the lady from the community cats and just build a relationship with her and let her know we are there to work with them, and we appreciate the work they do for us. As far as the colonies go, I haven't pushed anything like that because I want them to trust us first, to know that we're on their side.
Now, this is a touchy subject. Up till now, I know there are changes on the horizon. Has it been mostly euthanization when it comes to overcrowding and cat problems?
So unfortunately for feral cats, if we get feral cats in, the end of that decision is euthanasia, unfortunately, and that's just because they're unsocialized and they can't go into a home. And most people, if we know somebody that's looking for a barn cat, we will just waive all fees if it's going to be a barn cat, but we just don't get enough. So euthanasia ends up being the number one result for the feral cats if they do come into the shelter. That's why we stopped picking up any healthy cats. Just because most cats are used to being outdoors. And if it's healthy, there's no reason to pick it up. No, the animal control officers, they will still go and scan the cat just to make sure it doesn't have any ID or anything, to make sure it's not an owned pet. But if it is, unless it's sick, injured, malnourished, I mean, if there's something that the cat needs help, we'll pick it up. But if it's healthy, we just advise people to really just to leave them alone. That's the best thing for those cats.
Now I think about the word feral and wild. Is the Wyoming Game and Fish involved in this at all?
No.
Because if we were talking about turkey or deer or any of those, other like wild animals, it would be on their shoulders. But cats are in a weird league because they have been so domesticated. So this falls on your shoulders.
Yep.
But wild cats have been around just as long as people, right?
Yeah. They've been around for years. I think there was information where they were considered like royalty back in Egypt. So I know they've been around for centuries. And, now I don't really consider them feral. I just consider them unsocialized. They're not like a dog that's going to attack you. They're more private. They're going to go and hide. Unless you corner them, they're going to leave you alone. So I don't consider them wild or feral. I just unsocialized, not used to human interaction.
They're not eating meow mix. They're apex predators. That's kind of commendable. But also there are people that might be upset that, native songbirds that are coming back are getting eaten. But keeps the rodent population down. There are a lot of ways to look at this.
Yeah.
Are they really good exterminators, or are they the number one pest?
They're most cats. There's somebody feeding and watering them. They're getting their food somewhere. So that's the thing with community cats is there's always a caretaker. There's always somebody putting food and water out for them. So they've got their food and water. So they're keeping the mice population down, which they keep the mice population down. That's going to keep away your snake population. So they're actually there to help. And there's a lot of things you can do to deter them if you don't want that cat in your property. And that's what we're offering now is a deterrent, which I did bring a couple. We have a water jet animal repeller. It's a motion activated sprinkler. Basically, if a cat runs across your property, it just turns the sprinkler on and it sprays them.
This is so like cliche because cats hate water.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of this cat getting just sprayed. It seems harmless and reasonable.
Yep. And the other one we have, and one of our animal protection officers used this as a solar animal repeller, and she said it worked wonderful. You plug it into the ground, and it just has flashes a red light, then it has a ultrasound frequency, and it keeps away your pest animals. And she said that it worked really, really well. So, and that's what we advise. And there's also cost effective items you can use if you have a flower bed. One of the things I learned from one of my meetings was like your chair mat you're right there. You flip it on the other side, it has little pokey sides. You can cut those into the shape you want, put those in your garden or wherever you don't want that cat, and then it doesn't hurt them, but it's uncomfortable for them, so they're not gonna sit there. So there's a lot of things that can be done to deter the cats from being on your property if you really don't want them there.
I wonder if this works for raccoons. I
It
currently
does.
have that problem. Okay, so there's got some parallels there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have a raccoon problem, but that's another
Everybody, they're all over.
I don't
Raccoons.
mind digressing. I want to talk about this for a second. Okay, because I don't see them again. And then the other day I walk outside and something has done a couple things. I'm going to blame the raccoon on this. So something brought a bunch of garbage onto the hood of my car. We left the garage door open. And there was a bunch of garbage on top of my car, including egg yolks. I'd thrown away like eggs with the yolk in the shell. They were all over the car and the wall. But then from the breaker to our house in the garage is just right where I pull up. And so I really think this could be coincidence. And maybe we tripped the breaker in the middle of the night somehow. Probably not. I think they opened that little box. The door just swings open. And, they're opposable thumbs because someone had flipped the breakers.
Yeah.
I think it was those raccoons.
Yeah. They're those things are pretty curious, and they can get into a lot of stuff. That's why we recommend, making sure you cover everything and lock it. And they're mostly nocturnal. I mean, if you see them out during the day, it's not an alert that it's a rabid animal, because they can be active, but they're mostly active at night. So we just recommend just making sure everything's locked and covered.
This is a whole other podcast, The Raccoons of Casper.
Yep.
Okay, but back to cats. I want to talk about the horizon that I'd referenced and maybe what's coming, the TNR. So we talked on the phone earlier, and TNR is trap, neuter, return.
Yes.
And so opposed to euthanization, you guys might be leaning in this direction?
We are exploring that avenue. There's a lot of communities, a lot of towns that are doing it, and it has been proven effective. It has been proven very effective to trap. You trap them, you spay neuter them, you vaccinate them. You give them that rabies vaccination, and then you return them right to that same area where they were trapped. And that when you spay and neuter them, they of course can no longer reproduce. You vaccinate them, you're starting to build up that herd immunity, so to speak. And then once you cats are, it's kind of like, from what I've been researched, it's kind of like a hotel. If you remove one cat, if you trap one cat, and that vacancy sign goes on, and then another cat just occupies that vacancy. Or if you return them back there, that no vacancy sign stays on, and no more cats are going to move into that property or into that community. And so it helps not continue that population growth. You start reducing it, and you do it without euthanasia, and these cats are living a happy, healthy life, without coming into the shelter.
How did they hold up over this cold winter?
So there's some things that you can do to build some shelters for them for during the cold, but most cats have. That's why you return them to their territory, because they're familiar with that territory, so they have their places where they go to
Safe
stay
spots.
warm.
Yeah,
that's why you return them back to that community. If you were to trap, neuter, and then release them into somewhere other, it's a completely new environment that they have no knowledge of, so to speak. And so their chance of survival isn't as great. So that's why you got to return them to that same spot, just because they're already familiar with that
I'm
area.
sure there's politics within their communities too, and a hierarchy and things that we don't always think about, but some sense of family even. Sounds hippy-dippy, but, the mates and social selection and all of that, I'm sure, plays a role in their lives. And so, it seems more humane to let them go back, but also trying to mitigate numbers, reproduction, exponential growth, and just kind of maintain. So this is, and when we talked earlier, you said this was like the number one problem right now. This is a big problem.
Yeah, feral cats is for the shelter. That's the number one problem. We have a very successful adoption rate for dogs. To be considered a no-kill animal shelter, you have to have a 90% above. 90% live release rate or above. So our dogs for the last 3 months, we've got a 92% live release rate. So that's really good for the dogs. The cats, to make us overall no kill, the cats are really hurting us. Just in March alone, we had 39 trapped feral cats come in. So that's why we've stopped, trying to. We're doing more of an educational. That's why I've reached out to the community. Our lady with the community cat program. She's been really instrumental. I've signed up for a couple podcast webinars to learn about the community cat program. I've got the Best Friends Animal Society. I'm going to meet with them and their lawyers that they have to work on like what an ordinance looks like and how do you effectively start a program.
Like the TNR program.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because I know there's a Houston, Texas. They have a TNR program that they've been doing for years, and I guess it's really, really very, very effective. And it's now they have a hard time even getting cats into the shelter.
For people who want them to adopt them.
Yep.
Oh, hopefully.
So
that
that's what
like we're.
If we could get reduced where we didn't have cats come in the shelter. That's the goal. That's the goal is to get them spayed, neutered, back out in the community, let them live out their lives, not reproducing. They're vaccinated, so everything else is vaccinated, and just let them live out humanely.
Has this always been a problem, or did COVID exacerbate things with people moving, maybe not being able to take care of a pet? What do you think?
I've been at Metro Animal Control since '99, and feral cats has always been one of the biggest problems. That's one of the biggest problems. I know that we get a lot of kittens brought in that are with their feral moms. We do have a foster program that we just started. We're trying to get it advertised because we are looking for foster applications so we can start getting these younger cats into foster homes. They're just the shelter environment's not a place where these neonatal kittens need to be. They need to be in a home that's nice and quiet.
My husband will kill me.
Yep,
I love cats.
We are taking foster applications. So
okay, so this would be someone who's holding them and then trying to rehome them, but until then,
Yep. And it's not that they're the owners of these animals.
People are listening.
It's just it's not the. They're not the owners of these animals. They're just the caretakers until they're old enough to be adopted out on their own. So that's what we're looking for. So we are in need of foster programs because it is getting close to kitten season. This season. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about. I read that a female cat can produce 200 kittens in her lifespan, and the gestation period, it's 3 times a year.
Yeah. And
do they tend to all kind of synchronize when they have kittens? Then in this case, yes.
It seems like they do kind of have the same kind of a cycle where they all have their kittens around the same time.
Okay. Kitten season is upon us.
Yep.
It sounds so innocent, but it's causing some problems. What have people talked to you about, like the aggravations?
I haven't heard many aggravations. what we do get a lot of the community that will pick up the younger kittens and bring them to us. And we're advising now, because from some of the research, just leave them alone, because their mom is probably somewhere around, and the mom will be back.
Right.
Now, if you know the mom is gone, please call us so we can definitely humanely get these animals into a foster. We've got a couple people that'll raise them and take care of them, so we can reach out to them and they'll help us. But if that's only if you know the mom has been hit or deceased, or you haven't seen her for 2 days and these cats are in the same spot, call us.
And otherwise, let them be.
Yep.
Then they can get mother's milk, continue to grow, and be in a more stable situation.
They'll thrive and be much more better, healthier cats if they can stay with their mom until they're 8 weeks old.
Okay. How about disease? How's the health of the strays that you're seeing?
The feral cat population, the unsocialized, they seem to come in very healthy. You can tell they're getting fed and watered somewhere, because they're not unhealthy when they come in trapped. And that's why we want to look into that trap, neuter, and release, because these cats are already healthy. They're already getting their nutrition and what they need to survive. So we want a trap, neuter, and release program where we can get them back out instead of having to euthanize a healthy cat, just for the reason other than they're unsocialized. So their overall health seems to be really good when they come in. And that's one thing if we can get this program started where we also provide the vaccinations, I think that'll help even further with their disease control and the feline distemper that they might get.
Now, rabies it's just a thing that happens everywhere.
Yep.
Do you guys see a lot of rabies here in Casper?
Not in domesticated animals. We don't see any case. Anytime an animal is involved in a bite, it does have to be quarantined. Just it's as animal safety, and it's a safety for the community, just to make sure that there is no rabies present in the domesticated animals. We do see it a little bit in skunks. Bats, those are probably the biggest two that we'll get a positive result on, but not the domesticated.
So that's on you guys.
Yeah.
If there's a bat in a home or something.
Yep. Our on-call officer, if it's after hours, they'll go and get it. If it's inside a house, what we do is we send that animal to the Wyoming State Veterinary Lab, and they do the testing to see if it has rabies.
And then if not, do you just release?
Yeah. If not, they can be. If there's no symptoms, nothing, it can be released.
Okay.
But that's the way to test for rabies, and it's just if a bat's inside of a house, it's just a safety, as I said, for the community and the animal.
Now, this gets us a little off topic, but what's the most exotic thing you guys have been called to take care of?
The most exotic. So we just had a bearded dragon come in.
Oh.
So, and it was a pretty good sized one, and
Was it just in the wild or abandoned? Or?
Yeah, it was found at a park.
Whoa.
Here in the middle of Casper. So
my goodness.
We got a gentleman that's just holding on to it, and he's got another bearded dragon. So we had him do a found report because he knows how to take care of them properly.
That's lucky.
That's a bearded dragon. We've dealt with some boas, and they're not too exotic.
And they wouldn't fare well with bad weather on their own.
No.
So if people release them, whereas in Florida, they're having a real problem. I just read with snakes, and that snakes will dominate alligators soon because they're getting so big and they thrive there. But here, that's not necessarily a problem.
Yeah, the gentleman that just took the bearded dragon, said that as cold as it is getting at night, it probably wouldn't have done well through the night. So the people that found it and brought it in, that was a life-saving because they helped save that animal's life, and that's what our goal is. Honestly, that's what we're trying to move towards is life-saving. what can we do to save these lives and end the need for euthanasia. And I think our dogs is where it needs to be, but our cats is where we need to really focus on improvement and what can we do better to end that unnecessary euthanasia.
It's like a whole paradigm shift, this idea of just let them be.
Yeah.
And that they, again, have their own politics and hierarchy, but if we remove a spot, then it just gets filled again. That was,
Yep.
I think, a good metaphor, the motel thing, because
Yep.
yeah, we're wasting taxpayer dollars too.
Yeah.
Just constantly killing cats, and then it just never ends.
Yeah.
So this might be a game changer.
Yeah, and we don't want to euthanize. I mean, so if we can move towards a spay and neuter and only euthanize when it's medically or humanely necessary to relieve unnecessary or I can't think of the exact word, I'm suffering. If that could be the only time we euthanize, that would be perfect. If it was just to relieve that suffering, that would be the time that we would like to be able to only euthanize for, but and just rehome and leave the unsocialized population alone and let the community, coexist with these cats.
As someone who's spent a long time with animals, more than most of us will, what's one thing you've learned from them that maybe your average Joe hasn't?
I think one thing I've definitely learned, I mean, their animals are loyal. They're 100% loyal. They're good, great companions, very sturdy. These guys, dogs need humans. Cats can take care of their own. They can be out in the wild and survive. Mm-hmm. Dogs, I think, need that human companionship. We all know cats. I have personally 4 cats. I live in the county, so I'm not over my limit.
4 cats have you.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
kind of how that goes.
Yeah, and they're just they're part of the family. I think I've learned that animals are your family. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that we're trying to focus on too, is our returning animals to their family, reuniting a family. I had a lady in Bar None who lost her dog, and she said her daughter was upset and crying the whole night. And luckily we had the dog, so she was able to reclaim it the following morning. But that's when I thought about, man, if we had those tags, that person that found it could have just scanned it and called them that night before without waiting until the following day. Right. And so you learn a lot. I've been there since '99. I'm still learning. I still learn every day. I'm doing an executive leadership class that's geared towards animals and leaders that are in that animal field, and I've learned so much in just this short amount of time from the different leaders in different communities all over the United States. But yeah. You learn that animals are just, even the unsocialized cats, you realize they're not aggressive, they're just unsocialized, and that's one thing I've learned, is that just because it doesn't want you to handle it doesn't mean it's a bad animal. It just means that it's not socialized. It's going to thrive better on its own. It's better where it can be out in the open. It's in an environment where it's cornered. You corner anything, it's going to become defensive. So. And
then one thing about TNR too that it just popped into my brain is that if more cats were neutered and spayed, then there might be less of that howling in the middle of the night. And I think we've all been woken up maybe a time or two. I thought a baby was crying the other day. Yeah. I thought someone had left a baby on my porch because I just heard this wailing. And then I went out there and it was just these cats having a showdown.
Yep.
You mentioned that maybe that's, if we can eliminate some of the sexual competition, and that might help.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been looking for. for, I've got a book here, Managing Community Cats. It's a guide for municipal leaders. It's from the Humane Society of the United States, and that is one thing they brought up is getting these cats spayed and neutered will eliminate a lot of those complaints that a lot of people do have, that howling and the fighting in the middle of the night, because they no longer have that need to howl or fight. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that, I took a note in here. There was one of the gentlemen from the Humane Society, and this is what, and cat population is present, but he said, when cat populations are present, the choice is not between having cats or not having cats. The choice is between having a managed community cat population or an unmanaged one. And I think the correct way to do it is go to having a managed cat population, which will help. But that I read that when I was reading this book, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So I think we've had it unmanaged for so long. I think we need to
accept that it's an inevitability.
Yep.
And not just here, just everywhere.
Yep.
I was reading, as we were preparing for this, I was reading about cats in the last frontier and in Alaska, California, and just different communities, and it's an everywhere problem.
Yep.
Or I don't even know if you'd say problem now at this point. Redirecting, it's like it's just something that we have to, again, accept, and so we have to change the philosophy on it.
Yep. Yep,
because we have to live with it, or we're fighting something that we're not going to win.
Yeah. I've been doing this since '99, and we're not making any progress doing what we've been doing for 20 years. I think the shift needs to refocus onto what we can, a different way to manage this problem or this issue. And I think the trap, neuter, and release, from all the research I've done, is just the correct way to go. But we've been doing this for 20 years, and we haven't made a dent. I've still got the same people, from in '99 that are trapping now. So the issue has never stopped. And
if you guys did this, would you do the ear tag?
Yeah, that's how you know that cat's been spayed or neutered. Mm-hmm. And some vets now too will put a little tattoo on their belly, just indicating that cat has been spayed. Good for the public, too, to know he or she's been taken care of. Yep. And that's what that ear tip helps. It lets that person know that we've had a couple that have come in, and that's one of the reasons how I reached out to the community TNR program director, was because we had a couple that came in with ear tips. And so we want. And you went, "What's this?" And then you learned of it that way. So interesting. Yeah, the kennel staff, we've actually gone over in our meetings what ear tips are. So now they look for those ear tips. So if it has an ear tip, it's like a little passport. Yeah. For those cats. Yep. It seems like a really efficient way to do it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I contacted the community cat director. We returned them back to the community. I was able to go with her and meet one of the community cat ladies that helps take care of that specific community, which is in Natrona County, in the county, not in city limits, and it's in the county limits. But I want to try to build a positive relationship with them and let them know that we appreciate what they're doing. And so that's why I reached out, and then that's why I tried to take the opportunity to go and meet this individual community caretaker. And so I think she's given me a lot of information. Like I said, I signed up for a podcast June 13th. It's from the Community Cats podcast, and it's just about a TNR certification workshop. So I'm trying to get all my information collected so we can get those necessary changes, hopefully, moving forward. I can't wait to hear how this goes. Yeah. I'll keep bugging you to get updates and just see what happens. I don't mind. I one of the things I've done through my executive leadership is I've really changed my focus on life saving and what can we do to improve our life saving ability. That's what our focus needs to be on is the life saving. I've signed up for Petco Love Lost. I'm looking into those QR code tags. I think those would be a nice addition and would help alleviate maybe some of the calls that our animal protection officers are getting the following day, and it would help get animals home sooner. Mm-hmm. We offer microchips for $20. Those are super convenient to have. If you get a lost animal, you call us, we can come and scan it. If it has a microchip, it's going to go back home. We're not going to take it up to the shelter unless the only reason why it would go up to the shelter is if we just cannot get a hold of a caretaker. But we would let that person know where that animal's at. So those microchips are nice. I really strongly encourage getting those implanted.
This is good. $20 is cheap.
Yeah, it's no appointment necessary. They're not a GPS. It's not something where you can call up and we can type in the numbers. We know where the animal is. Mm-hmm. It's just a form of identification because we all know dogs and cats are going to lose their collars possibly. Mm-hmm. Microchip is just embedded under the skin. They're never going to lose that. So they're always going to have that identification. And all our officers carry scanners. And then our shelter staff has scanners too, so we scan everything that comes in.
This has been Report to Wyoming, presented in the public interest by Town Square Media.